Welcome to another episode of Shadow Theorem. In this particular episode, we're going to be discussing the concept of qualified immunity. Now, what exactly is the concept? Well, the concept really relates to government officials, and more particularly police officers and other law enforcement operatives, in the sense that they should be held immune under federal law from personal liability and discretionary actions that were undertaken in their official capacity, typically as a police officer. And this has become the legal standard in the United States and is currently being challenged by certain groups and even certain politicians, in the sense that they're looking to either have this immunity abolished in its entirety or severely reduced. And that is causing a current challenge with respect to where qualified immunity stands, where it's going to go, and what the implications are for the safety and security of the citizenry. So we start by taking a look at the prevailing law, which emanates from the United States Supreme Court case of Pearson versus Ray, where the Supreme Court put forward the position that a policeman's lot is not so unhappy that he must choose between being charged with dereliction of duty if he does not arrest when he had probable cause, and being mulcted in damages if he does. Now, that is seen as the basis upon which the argument for qualified immunity really came to light, especially as it relates to civil rights cases in the United States and the effort to control civil liability, that is civil litigation, that does come down on the states, does come down on officers, and is a very challenging balancing act, especially with the effort to eliminate qualified immunity today. And why do I say that? Because what is going to possibly happen is that whether it's severely drawn back or if it were entirely eliminated, police officers and other law enforcement representatives would be in a very precarious position when it comes to civil litigation, in the sense that they would have to fight far more civil litigation matters. They would have to potentially even be fighting with their own police departments, given the way that they are being pushed out, and there's fights between the police departments and the police unions that are becoming increasingly severe. And there would also be the aspect of where the liability falls. And in turn, it would see potentially a lot of police officers refraining from taking action that they previously undertook in the safety and security of the citizenry that they are expected to protect and serve. So what would happen is that in our estimation is that in those few bad apple cases, there would be an ability to go more seriously after those bad police officers and pursue them. The question being, are you pursuing them individually? And everyone knows that police officers don't have the greatest sums of wealth, so you're going to be able to go after them civilly. But now, are you also going to be able to go after the unions and the departments to the greater degree and technically achieve another goal, which is to effectively defund these operations because of the amount of liability that would arise from the lack of qualified immunity and the stress that we'd be putting them under with respect to civil lawsuits. And with respect to other officers, would they be constantly avoiding any kind of perception of crossing that new barrier with respect to that was provided by qualified immunity, and being always apprehensive of taking on any action, given the fact that every action can be interpreted in multiple ways so as to subject them to harsh civil liability, such that they effectively, you're perceived or misperceived or misinterpreted as having caused something, and you thus find yourself subject to effectively being bankrupted, your family being bankrupted, you're having to personally fight, this is a quite possibility, litigation that police unions might not be capable of fighting on your behalf, or police unions being bankrupted by the amount of civil lawsuits that come down for the most unclear, let's call it, of actions, just simply because the actions can be pursued more easily and settlements can be drawn out more effectively. What is going to become the state of police affairs, such that there becomes a real dilemma as to whether or not discarding with qualified immunity is the operable approach, and even to what degree does it get pulled back. That is a serious question that is facing United States politicians, legislators, and communities as they seek to move forward and determine where their police forces and other government parties stand as they move forward and still try to ensure safety and security to their citizenry. Thank you.